The Carolina Panthers look to bounce back at 1-1. We're here to get you caught up on all the latest news as we head into game day. Let's go.
Brace yourself for the ultimate Carolina Panthers experience. Welcome to Two Growls, One Roar, the podcast that hits harder than a Luke Kuechly tackle. We're diving deep into the heart of Panther Nation, bringing you unrivaled passion, insider takes, and pure gridiron fire. From Wilmington to the cosmos, this is your home for the fiercest football talk east or west of Charlotte.
Welcome in, folks, to another edition of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Told you guys we're going to try and do as much content as possible. Now, there's a caveat to that. Thursday and Friday nights are taken up with high school football in our family. So there's nothing that I can really do unless I get up on a Thursday or Friday morning to get content out. With that said, though, we're here on Saturday, day before the game, getting some more content, some final storylines, and my thoughts as the week has progressed for the Carolina Panthers. Now, before we get too far into this, I am going to take a moment to plug myself, which I don't really do from this standpoint, and you'll see in just a second. You guys know how active I am on X. You know how active I am in the Panthers community, the podcast, all the listeners, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have to go on, which I appreciate. Of course, one day I'd love to be credentialed. I live 3.5 hours away. The odds of being credentialed are probably pretty slim at the moment. You get it. Like, I'm just out of the mix. However, I continue to push and push and push and try to be one of the prominent names in the Panthers community. And the other day, as I'm sitting here watching Ejiro Evero's press conference, and I don't know how many people will follow me on X, there was a moment where I tweeted out about Nick Scorton having the fastest get off in week one in the entire NFL. Now, limited amount of reps in comparison to a lot of folks, but he was faster than Max Crosby, a lot of other folks. So I tweet this out. Lo and behold, I'm listening to Ejiro Evero's press conference from Thursday. Joe Person of The Athletic uses that reference point as he frames the question to ask Evero. And so it kind of made it all the way up into the Panthers world, the Panthers verse, so to speak. From my perspective, that's a pretty cool moment. I will take that as a small win as we continue to plug away. We're going to play the clip now, and then we'll get back into the episode.
I had seen something, and I apologize. I don't know who what the analytics site was that had it, but Nick apparently had the fastest get off in week one. Is that what you've seen from him all along, and what can that mean for your defense?
You talking about Nick Scorton?
Nick Scorton, yes, sorry.
I'm very excited about Nick. I don't get too much into all those analytical things, but I like the player. I love the way he works. I love the way he competes. I love his intelligence. He's going to continue to get better and better the more he plays and the more experience he gets. And so I'm very, very excited about what he's going to do in the future.
All right, folks, we are back. Pretty cool moment for me. With that said, let's get you caught up on all things Panthers with the most important news related to injuries. Number one, Tershawn Wharton is officially ruled out. I don't think that's a surprise. We knew this was going to be a 2 to 4 week process. The good news is he was not placed on IR, which gives us a little bit of faith that maybe we get him back a little bit sooner. I don't know, though. We'll have to see week to week, day to day where this pans out. Ikem Ekwonu officially limited. He was limited, but listed as questionable. He was a limited participant every day. I'm hopeful that we get him back this week. All signs would point to that. Now, you never know, last minute what could change, but, coming 3 weeks off of the appendectomy, feels like we're in a good position. And for the offensive line, I think we need it, especially as we try to lean on the running attack here, heading out to Arizona. But that's it. Now, there were some other guys on the list, which we talked about: Patrick Jones, Hunter Renfrow, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, A'Shawn Robinson, Caleb Evans. All those guys were full participants, so their game status, they should be out there. On the side of the Arizona Cardinals, Tip Raymond is officially ruled out. He's a tight end. Cody Simon, a linebacker in the concussion protocol, is out. Blake Gillikin, who's their punter, is questionable. I guess he makes it or participates. Will Hernandez, a guard, battling a knee injury, is questionable. And then John Gaines, the second, is unspecified, but he was a full participant, so I'm guessing he's going to make it through. And then Calais Campbell had a rest day, so I would anticipate he's there. There's a funny meme picture going around comparing Bryce Young, smallest player in the NFL, to Calais Campbell, the biggest player, which I called it out that, hey, I get it. It's because they're playing each other, but Kyler Murray is the same exact height as Bryce Young. He even looks a little bit smaller in comparison. So whatever. Anyways, folks, the main storyline is, what are we going to learn this week? This is a big game for the Carolina Panthers, coming in right now at 0-1. They have an opportunity to get back to 500. They have the opportunity to beat a team that they beat last year, a team that's vying for playoffs. And yes, they are, because I've heard them talking about it. I heard Trey McBride on the Rich Eisen's show mentioning this. Arizona is going to be a decent team this year. And so for the Carolina Panthers, and again, think we had to take a step back just based off of week 1, but for us to hope that we start to see some better football and better days ahead for this franchise, we got to see what we can do this week. Big opportunity to show us that the revamped defense is better than what we saw in week 1. It's better than last year, because comparing the two, from week 1 to last year's performance in a lot of the games, didn't look like that. It didn't look like the team that spent this money. And I know they didn't do a complete overhaul, but at least in some of the key positions improved. Now, the pass rush is a big one this week. I want to see, and the emphasis has been on getting these young guys out, having the young guys available and ready. Scorton, Uman Mielen, you would assume Damani Richardson, Lathan Ransom at the safety position, getting those young guys some snaps and some playing time to build them up. And I think it's an important opportunity for them to get to do that this week. I think the Arizona defense is better than folks think, but I think the offense is something we can manage. However, when you talk about the Arizona Cardinals and what they bring, it's not going to be an easy task with the two-headed monster of James Conner and Trey Benson, both of those guys, really good backs. There's a chance for them to put up 100-plus yards, 150-plus yards as a unit. You throw in Kyler Murray in the mix. We're talking about the chance to get to 150, 175. I'm hopeful that the Carolina Panthers, if they win this game, they're going to have to keep them at least 150 or below. We will see how that pans out. And, of course, containing McBride, one of the better tight ends in the NFL, really. I mean, you look at him, one of the better ones in the NFC as well. And so Carolina Panthers have done very poorly, and it's only 1 week, but they have done poorly against tight ends, coverage with our linebacking core with Christian Roseboom. Trevin Wallace just isn't good. But you can improve some of those things with the pass rush, getting a few sacks. The Saints sacked Kyler Murray 5 times. So there's a chance. There is a chance. I think this game is winnable. I mean, it's cliche, but you can't turn the ball over the way that we did, whether it was forced or not forced, whether it was an unfortunate error or mistake that leads to it. We have to see a better performance this week. Now, I think the version that we saw of Bryce Young this past week wasn't great, but as a lot of folks have said, it wasn't what we saw last year or in his rookie season. It feels like it's there. And if his playmakers can come down with a few of these catches along the way, possibly a different ball game. But Bryce Young's going to have his work cut out for him when he goes up against that defense. They have a really good secondary, as we mentioned, and just a well-coached team. I've been going back and forth all week listening to their pressers and, where things sit. It's a good opportunity for Carolina. And we don't want to keep going down this path, but if this team continues to lose, and I'm not here to put Canales up there and say Canales is not going to be here, but if this team continues to fail us, does not perform well, we don't see improvements, conversations are going to happen. And whether that means that we're talking about Ejiro Evero no longer being here, I don't know. But things are going to pile up for this team. And the pressure is already there, but the pressure is going to continue to build. And we're going to be wondering, okay, when is Evero out of this building? I talked about this on ESPN Wilmington this week, that I don't want to have these conversations. And I think maybe we're a step ahead of ourselves. I get it. You want to jump to that conclusion based off of what you saw in week 1. But I think we got to tone it back a little bit. Like, just turn the knob down a little. Let's let the static fizzle out and let's see what we have this week. Now, you see the same exact thing this week. Conversations are going to happen. Naturally, there's no way to shy away from it if you continue to be who you are. And the approach that Canales has as a head coach, the soft-spoken, not really putting guys under the bus, not really calling guys out. Same thing with the staff underneath him. If those things happen, people are going to continue to get frustrated. The worst thing that honestly could happen coming back 0-2, because this is the home opener next week against the Atlanta Falcons, coming in at 0-2 with a fan base that's probably not going to be that enthused is not a good way to start the season. This is a critical game for the Carolina Panthers. And you know what? If they do come out 0-2, I hate to say it, there's no moral victories, but if they have a competitive football game to where it doesn't look like it did last week, you probably feel a little bit better, possibly, but being 0-2 is not a good spot to be in, and I hope that that's not where this team sits heading into this week. We're going to need to see some production outside of Tedero McMillan. We're going to need to see the tight ends involved, JT Sanders, Tommy Trimble. We're going to need to see Xavier Legette, Hunter Renfrow, some of these guys come alive for us to have an opportunity. I believe that XL can take a step forward. He needs to show it this week, because that story too is writing itself. You have a lot of things that just the narratives of who these guys are not going well at all. And especially with Jalen Coker sitting and waiting, hoping to get back once he comes off of IR at that 4-week mark. After the 4 weeks, I think there's a strong case to be made that Coker probably is the number 2 wide receiver on this team, which is wild to think about considering like where we were. As a 6.5-point favorite, it's telling you right now that nobody believes in Carolina. Traveling over there, though, we do understand and know that the Panthers truly have dominated the Arizona Cardinals. I do think the Carolina Panthers can pull this out. I am going to double down on me picking the Panthers straight up to win this game. And I think they get the job done. Come back 1-1, and then we can turn to the NFC South Atlanta Falcons and figure out what goes on from there. Anyways, folks, that's going to do it for today. This is Carolina Dad.